I'm Mike Mickle with Belden. I'm here to talk to you about an event that's occurred recently. In April 2014, Microsoft finally ended their support for the Windows XP operating system. Now, this alone is not new news. They've pre-announced this many years prior, but the ramifications are becoming clearer by the day. What this means is that Microsoft will no longer provide software patches or service pack updates, nor will they likely offer a lot of technical support. You probably have to pay for it if you want it. And yet, Windows XP is probably the most popular Windows operating system in the industrial setting. Now, the reason for this are several. First off, it was considered a rock solid operating system by many folks like you in the industrial space. As you built confidence in that operating system, you deployed more and more of that in your manufacturing or production settings. Secondly, the introduction of Windows XP coincided with rapid adoption of PC technology in the manufacturing setting. A lot of manufacturing execution systems were introduced in the early 2000s. Asset management, track and traceability, scheduling, manufacturing performance data. A lot of those were installed on Windows XP boxes during that time. And thirdly, one that may not be as obvious is, I'll call it embedded operating systems. And so a lot of suppliers use Windows XP for things like robot control or vision inspection systems, or even substituting for PLCs themselves. And so the combination of all of those led to a lot of installs of Windows XP in the manufacturing production settings. Which leads me to my first piece of advice. Perform an audit of all your manufacturing facilities. Find out where you have Windows XP installed. Now, there's going to be the obvious ones, the ones that are installed on computers. You probably have kiosks or PC stations scattered throughout, say, a manufacturing facility or production site, so that local personnel can access their email and internet. Those are the obvious ones. Then you may have to dig a little bit deeper. There's, again, Windows XP probably controlling some of your robots if you have them, or vision inspection systems. Windows XP is installed on a lot of things that are called industrial computers, things that look like this guy right here. So they may not be as obvious, but it's very important you get a comprehensive audit so that you know what your exposure is. Okay, so what's your risk? Well, many of your Windows XP installs are likely to be networked, connected to your industrial infrastructure. And if they're networked, they may be exposed to things like malware or cyber incidents. And if something were to attack or infect that Windows XP install, it may disrupt your production in some way. Now, I'm not talking about cyber attacks where you're going to be a target of some sort. Most of you won't be that. I'm talking about accidents. Accidents that occur in everyday operations. For instance, you might invite in a machine builder, a third-party systems integrator, to perform some troubleshooting or some maintenance. Maybe they're having to repair a machine. You've invited them in, and as part of their repairing that machine or troubleshooting, they may introduce some malware accidentally, but they're within your corporate firewall because you invited them in. Now that malware can permeate throughout your network and affect a lot of those Windows XP installs. That's your risk. So if a Windows XP PC gets affected by one of these malware, you have very limited options to remedy the situation. Microsoft's going to ask you to upgrade your operating system to something like Windows 7 or Windows 8. And that's fine, but then the computer hardware that you are running that XP on likely will also have to be upgraded. Well, if you're upgrading the operating system and the hardware, you probably have to upgrade the communications drivers. And then there's the software that was running on the XP box, something maybe custom written. Don't know if that is going to migrate forward as well. That may have to get rewritten. Then there's the devices themselves that were communicating with that PC. We don't know if those are going to be still talking to that PC, and those might need an upgrade. And then the timing of your entire system, if you were running control, real-time control through it, for instance, that'll all have to be redone. My point is, it's like a domino effect. Upgrading the operating system leads you to have to upgrade the computer it's running on, leads to upgrading the communications drivers, the devices, the software installed on the PC, and eventually the timing of your overall system. That's probably not very practical. There is a third option, the use of an industrial firewall. An industrial firewall is an appliance, like this Hirschman Eagle, that you install in your industrial network infrastructure. And it provides zone protection for critical assets or devices. In this case, your Windows XP installs. They'll protect them from the malware or the accidents, the cyber incidents, and keep your process running. They're very simple to deploy and easy to learn. Now, the benefits of using an industrial firewall are many. They can be deployed into existing networks with no disruption to your operations. They're very easy to configure and deploy. They've been designed for the industrial environment, and they carry the right certifications. And probably, most importantly, there'll be no need for you to upgrade any of the software or the communications drivers or things like that. No domino effect with your Windows XP installed. So my second piece of advice is this: use industrial firewalls. This will get you the security you need for all your Windows XP installs, protected against all the malware and accidents that could occur on a daily basis. And it also buys you time so that you can migrate your systems on your schedule and not Microsoft's. So in summary, Microsoft's support for Windows XP has ended. And this poses additional risk to you and your operations. In that, when you count up the number of Windows XP installs you likely have in your operations as part of that audit, add to the fact that cyber incidents occur almost on a regular basis. Again, we're not talking attacks, we're talking normal daily operations where accidents occur on the network. This poses a problem for you. It can increase the likelihood of shutdowns of parts of your operations. And now the recovery from those incidents grows because you're going to need to upgrade your operating system, and that's going to trigger that domino effect of the hardware, the communications, the other software, etc., etc. So our piece of advice is to use an industrial firewall appliance. They're very easy to configure and deploy, and they'll give you that peace of mind and security and buy you time so that you can upgrade on your own time frame. Now, if this sounds like a solution that might be good for you, please contact us here at Belden so that we may consult with you about your specific needs.